What's going on? Brian here, Triathlon.com. This video, we're going to go over some tips talking about descents in on wet roads. So going downhill on your bike when it's wet. It's a big thing. Back in 2021, Ironman Tulsa rained the entire time. Ironman 70.3 Memphis rained the entire time. I've done several training rides in the rain. I've done other races in the rain. It's not fun, but it happens, so you need to be ready. So let's jump into the video and chat about it. Number one, don't always ditch the rider going indoors. It's good to have experience on your training rides because you never know what's going to happen on race day. Mother Nature just kind of does whatever she wants. And if you're not ready and uncomfortable by yourself, and then you added a bunch of people over there doing the race with you, it could be problems. So make sure you have that experience. Be safe as always, but make sure you have that experience. Just know how to handle the bike in the rain. Number two, use rain gear to stay warm. Obvious, kind of a no-brainer, but sometimes people just go out there thinking, well, it's 75 degrees, I should be fine. Well, 75 degrees and it's raining and wet, you're going to get cold, and especially wind chill plays in a big factor, so make sure you're staying prepared, staying as warm as possible as you need to, so you don't start shivering and get cold and all kinds of other fun stuff and can't shift your gears. It's a serious thing. Number three, consider lowering your tire pressure. So it's just kind of a physics thing. The more surface area of your tire in the pavement, the more availability you have for traction, for stopping power, for traction for turning, and that type of thing. So just keep that in mind, that just a little bit, maybe 5 to 10 psi less. So instead of running at 110, you're running at 100 or something like that. Yeah, you're going to have some more rolling resistance, but if it's raining, you're going to have rolling resistance anyway, and you kind of want that to have a little bit more traction, a little bit more connection to the road. So consider lowering the tire pressure just a little bit. Number four, set the ego aside and slow down. So going downhill, maybe set the ego aside and you're on the drops instead of in arrow trying to go as fast as possible if it's just too dangerous to do it. So sometimes you just gotta suck it up and let's be safe, be able to get to the next race and keep your brain intact. So just slow down. Number five, finish with braking before you enter the turn so you're gliding. So if you're coming into a turn, especially on a descent, you need to start scrubbing off speed before you get into that turn and let out the brakes, because if you're turning and braking, those wheels have more opportunities to lock up and just slide out from underneath you, and bam, you're on the pavement, and then you're sliding off the road potentially. So don't brake through the turn, brake, scrub off speed before you get there, not at the last minute, and then glide through the turn without hitting the brakes, because you want to be able to steer and not have the wheels lock up on you. Number six, don't brake with the front wheel if you can avoid it. Brake with that front wheel and it'll go out from underneath there faster than you can think about it. So just keep that in mind. It's the same idea, if you're going downhill and it's dry and you grab a bunch of front brake, you're just going to go over. Well, if it's in the rain, you grab a bunch of front brake and it's just going to lock up the wheel and it's just going to slide through the pavement and you're along for the ride. So don't lock up that front wheel. Number seven, avoid paint lines as they get slick. It goes for steel plates on the road and everything like that. They get a little bit wet. So if you're riding across them, or if you're riding the center line, or riding the shoulder and you're riding that paint line, it can get a little slick. It just like nothing, and you're down, and you don't know what happened. So just keep that in mind. Number eight, avoid steel plates in construction areas. Like I said, they get slick too, and the last thing you want to do is take a wipe out on a steel plate, because they are just as unforgiving as the pavement. So imagine that. Number nine, pay attention for combo of rain and oil on the roads, especially if it hasn't rained for a while. Then it rains and it's been hot. It's just that oil that's been just sitting on there just kind of rises to the surface, and it's like slicker than snot. Even more so if it's been raining on a consistent basis off and on. But if it's gone with a long period, that water will have oil mixed in with it, and it makes it like super slick. It's almost like ice. So just beware of that. Number 10, ease up from standard riding style and take turns wider than possible. So if you're on your road bike, you're on the drops, you're being aggressive through the turns and that type of thing, now's the time to be on the drops, or be on the hoods, and take a slow turn, take it nice and wide, because it's better to make the turn than to lose the front wheel and go off, slide off in the ditch, or land on the ground, and the race is done. So just keep, it's kind of the same thing, check the ego, slow down a little bit, ease up from the standard riding style. Number 11, focus more pressure on the outside of the bike while descending. So if you're making a turn, you don't want to lean into the turn. You want to keep a little bit more weight to the outside so you can make that nice gliding turn. So the more weight you put down, the more that wheel wants to just slide out from underneath you. So keep that in mind. Number 12, avoid hard, aggressive leans in the corners and turns. Kind of goes to number 11, keeping the pressure on the outside of the wheel. Number 13, be more upright and steer with the handles more. Again, easing up from your standing rider position. You want to be more up more and less aero, and it's totally contradictory to what we're thinking as far as triathlons go and trying to be as aero as possible. You want to be up, especially if you're going to descents or in your turns. You just want to be up. Put that center of gravity up more instead of closer to the road, just so you have a little bit more maneuverability and you can steer a little bit better, and hopefully that wheel will keep traction with your surface. So those are, I know I went through them rather quick, but I didn't want to lose you, so hopefully those helped you out. If you got any questions, put in the comments. I'll get notifications, Facebook, YouTube. If this helped you out, give it a like. Facebook, give it a like, and a thumbs up on YouTube, subscribe, hit the notification button, all that kind of good stuff. And again, any comments put them on there, I get notifications. I'll go back, answer your questions, or if you think I missed something that I should add, let me know. Put that in there. And with that, I want to wish you happy training and